April, what are you doing here?
So April has been and gone, can you believe it? So here is this month's video to take a look at some of the things that caught my eye in the hope that I might pick up some of the things that you might have missed. But before I start, a few announcements. That gallery airbrush giveaway, check out the video for details. Be sure you're in it to win it. That will be drawn on the 23rd of May, so that's getting real close. Also a reminder, I'm heading over to Japan shortly to the Shizuoka Hobby Show. I'll be there on the 14th and the 18th of May 2025, of course. So if you're around, make sure you find me and say g'day. And thank you to the champions from On The Bench for sending me this cool t-shirt. Listening to a podcast like On The Bench is a great way to stay involved with the hobby, even when you can't be involved at the bench. So I've left a link down below. Be sure to check them out and give them a listen. And stick around to the end and I'll update you on some of the projects I have on my bench and give you a little glimpse into what is coming up. But let's get started with my top 10 announcements from the month of April. Coming in at number 10 is not a product as such, but a range. And I saw Ammo by MiG have released a whole set of 3D printed tracks. Now 3D printed tracks are nothing new, I hear you say, but what I like about this announcement is they've released a whole heap of 48 scale 3D workable tracks. 48 scale is a scale that is neglected a lot, and it's a scale I love working in and I wish more people did. And that's why I really like this release by Ammo. I'm hoping Ammo's distribution reach will mean that these tracks are accessible to everyone around the world. So be sure to keep an eye out for them if you are even vaguely interested in 48 scale armor. Now it's just about impossible to escape the hype around Star Wars, and in particular the Mandalorian. And I'm a Star Wars tragic, I have to confess. And my only complaint around modeling companies working in this Star Wars space is they often leave releasing some of these kits too long, and the hype and the wave of enthusiasm for a particular vehicle may have passed. Now this model is the stripped back Naboo Starfighter from the second season of The Mandalorian. I'm sure you guys know it. I like the look of the scale. It's in 48 scale and it's from Bandai Spirits. I don't know if that's the same as Bandai as such, but if it's anything like some of the other Bandai releases, and it looks to be pretty good, I think this one's gonna be a real winner, and it's 100% gonna make its way into my stash.
This is the way.
Coming in at number 8, again, I'm sort of cheating a bit here. It's a range. Well, it's probably more of an introduction to a manufacturer, and that is White Stork Miniatures. White Stork Miniatures caught my eye this month with a string of releases. Now, White Stork Miniatures work out of Poland, and they predominantly work in that 72nd scale range. But the thing I like most about White Stork is the range of genres that they're releasing. They're doing the post-apocalyptic sort of style of figures. They're doing World War II, obviously. First World War, modern subjects. It's just such a great range and gives those 72nd scale builders so many options when it comes to figures, which is something that's been absent from the hobby for such a long time. So that's why I want to give White Stork a shout out. I seem to have developed a bit of a thing for support vehicles and trucks and whatnot, which is why this next one caught my eye, especially when you consider how you can integrate it and work it in with other vehicles in potentially a diorama or a vignette. The vehicle is the latest release from Miniart, and it's the G7117 4x4 Wrecker. It comes with that extended towing arm off the back of the truck, which is cool, but I just feel that if we strung a Jeep up or something on the back of that, it would just take this model to a next level and an awesome display, which is why I've snuck it in on this list.
April Fools.
Now, I believe this release started as an April Fool's joke, or perhaps it was just Magic Factory testing the water to see if this thing would float. And that is the M2128 Bradley with a 105mm mobile gun system. It's a completely fictional tank. It's a what if, but I think it looks incredibly cool. I've always liked the look of the Striker with that mobile gun mount system, so this one was probably always going to float my boat as well. It comes with etch, metal parts, 3D printed parts, and it's based on their previously released Bradley, which I had the pleasure of building last year. I'm sure the what if badge might put a few modelers off, but honestly, looking at the vehicle, it kind of sits in the realm of possibilities, so maybe Magic Factory knows something we don't. Of course, it was only going to be a matter of time before Tamiya released the F-35C in 72nd scale, of course off the back of their 48 scale releases. That 48 scale kit has proven to be so popular, so I can't imagine why this 72nd scale version isn't going to follow suit. Tamiya's 72nd scale modern jet range seems to be growing by the day, and I'm sure this F-35C is going to present a trouble-free, easy build for just about every modeler, and that's why that one made the list. April saw us graced with an update on the border model Heinkel HE111H6, and from what I'm seeing, this is going to be one heck of a kit. That internal detail and the detail in the cabin, as well as the refinement in the engine assemblies, really looks incredible, as does that oil canning on the wing surfaces. I know some might scoff at that oil canning, but I think under a coat of paint, and once that's finished up, I think that's going to present really beautifully. I guess the only point of resistance here is it's a 35th scale model, which for me is great, but I can appreciate how a 32nd scale aircraft builder might not be that happy with this scale in their collection. I mean, for me, if it was an armor kit in 32nd scale, I would never build it. Now I'm going to cheat a little bit again here, sorry, and I'm going to announce a range, and that is, of course, TAKOM's giant leap into the world of the Sherman. I'm generally speaking a big fan of TAKOM's work, and to have another mainstream manufacturer producing so many kits on such a regular basis, it is a real privilege for us as scale modelers. Their venture into the world of the Sherman, well, they announced two kits. There was the M4A1 76W, as well as the M1 Super Shermans, and if the renders are anything to go by, and I can't see why they wouldn't be, this line is seriously going to be in high demand, and with the foundations of the Sherman in these TAKOM design teams' crosshairs, I can see no reason why we're not going to see more versions of Shermans coming out from TAKOM, and I reckon that's a great thing. Now, I had a bit of an internal battle with this one, whether to place it first or second, but I ended up putting it second simply because this company has released this model previously, albeit this is a completely new model, but it's also available from other manufacturers, and I'm of course talking about the M36 tank destroyer from Tamiya in 35th scale. Anything new from Tamiya is always welcomed, and this is hot off the back of that H36 they announced a couple of months ago. Now, Tamiya have released an M36, but it was way back in 1968. And then it saw a number of upgrades in those early years, but we now have this newly tooled M36 inbound. It'll be interesting to see how this model is priced around the world given the current sort of financial situations, but hopefully Tamiya continue to price their new releases to sell. I suspect the hobby shops are going to be putting this one on the shelf with the other aircraft models because I reckon it's going to fly off the shelves.
Your humor is not funny.
Now for number one, and it is the Jadgtiger with a full interior from TAKOM in 35th scale. I hear you say TAKOM have released Jadgtigers previously, and that is true. However, that was in their Blitz range and had no interior, of course. And those Jadgtigers received kind of mixed reviews, but I can tell you this is a completely newly tooled kit. So I'm going in with very high hopes. I'm not aware of any other manufacturer releasing the Jadgtiger with an interior. So if you know different, please let me know in the comments down below. I know there's upgrades and aftermarkets and things like that, but in terms of a mainstream release, I think this is pretty much a first. I appreciate building interiors is not for everyone. And of course, the limited view that you get of all that work you put into them is sometimes a bridge too far for some modelers. But for me, I actually like the opportunity of learning about the vehicle and what it would have been like for the crew, and it just gives me an opportunity to get a little more connected with the vehicle, as well as just have a bit of fun with weathering techniques and things like that. It just gives me a greater appreciation for the tank. So that's why this Jadgtiger came in as my number one. So I hope you enjoyed that list. I'm sure I've missed stuff and there'll be things on your list that weren't on mine. So let me know if you think I've missed something down in the comments down below. I will respond to every single comment that comes through. And a big shout out to my Patreons. I love the opportunity to engage and share ideas around their work, and it gives me great pleasure to be able to share some of it here with you today. If you'd like to get involved with the community, I've left the details down below and we can connect in a greater way there. So what have I got going on the bench at the moment? Well, there's plenty of loose ends. Firstly, I'm building the base for that Miniart RSO from a couple of weeks ago. Plus, I'll be going back to that M915. I have to say that's looking really good. And finally, I've been working on improving the Dustwork Panther G without aftermarket, and I can't wait to bring that one to you guys. There's so many models and so little time. Remember guys, this is the greatest hobby in the world. Share it with your family and share it with your friends, and let's be proud of what we do. Until next time, and of course I'll have been and come back from Japan, I'll see you guys soon.